let's talk about a fascinating and almost forgotten piece of history. They called it the ghost wing. Imagine inventing the future way back in 1944, and then that future gets locked in a box, hidden away from the world for another 50 years. That's the story we're diving into. All right, so to understand this, we've got to jump to the late 1990s. Picture this. You're in a restricted Smithsonian storage facility. You know, one of those massive warehouses where history goes to be forgotten. It's dusty, it's quiet, and you stumble upon this enormous wooden crate. So what's inside? Well, it's a machine that, frankly, shouldn't have existed back then. It's got no tail, no real body to speak of, just this one sleek jet-powered flying wing. And when modern engineers finally got their hands on it and ran the numbers, they were just floored. What they were looking at was the world's first stealth bomber, built decades before anyone was even really talking about stealth. Okay, so how on earth did this thing exist? For that, we have to rewind the clock all the way back to 1943, right in the middle of World War II Germany. And at the heart of it all were two brothers, Walter and Raymar Horton. They were given a problem that was, well, basically impossible to solve. You see, the head of the Luftwaffe had this crazy demand. He called it the 3 by 1,000 requirement. He wanted a bomber that could carry 1,000 kilograms of bombs, fly at 1,000 kilometers an hour for 1,000 kilometers. The problem? With the planes they had, it was physically impossible. Just couldn't be done. The drag from the tail, from the fuselage, it just slowed everything down too much. And this is where the Horton brothers' genius really shines through. Their solution was so simple, it was radical. They just said, you know what? Let's get rid of everything that creates drag. No tail, no distinct body, just one single ultra-efficient flying wing. And man, did they move fast. First, they built the V1, which was just a glider, basically to prove that this crazy shape could even fly. It did. Then came the V2, and they slapped jet engines on it. Not only did it fly, it flew at incredible speeds. And that brought them to the V3, the one they found in that crate, the final weaponized version, almost ready to go. But here's where the story gets really wild. That revolutionary shape, that was only half of it. The truly mind-blowing thing about this plane was something the Horton brothers might not have even fully grasped themselves. It was accidentally a stealth bomber. The secrets were literally built into its skin. So how did they do it? Well, it was like a 3-layer cake of invisibility. First, you've got the shape itself. No tail, no vertical surfaces. There's nothing for a radar signal to get a good bounce off of. Second, the skin wasn't metal. It was made of plywood, which radar waves don't reflect nearly as well. And third, this is the secret ingredient, the glue. They actually mixed carbon powder right into the glue that held the whole thing together. And carbon, well, it absorbs radar waves. Think about that. This plane could have been a total game changer, a real super weapon, but it never saw a single day of combat. As the war was ending, this incredible machine just disappeared. So what happened? Well, in April 1945, American troops roll up to this factory and they find the V3 prototype just sitting there, almost finished. And you can imagine their shock. They had never seen anything like it. So, under a highly classified mission called Operation Seahorse, they carefully took this alien-looking jet apart and shipped it straight to the United States. Okay, so America has this futuristic jet. What do they do with it? This is the baffling part. After a quick look, the military apparently just decided it was too alien, too weird, so they boxed it up. And for the next 50 years, it just sat in a warehouse. The people who knew about it moved on, retired, or passed away. And the ghost wing, well, it became just a rumor, a ghost story that old pilots would whisper about. All right, let's jump forward again, this time to 2008. After being rediscovered, that prototype is finally about to give up its biggest secret. Modern tech was finally going to answer the question everyone was asking, was this thing really stealthy? And you're not going to believe this. The company they hired to do the testing? Northrop Grumman. Yeah, the same folks who build the modern B-2 stealth bomber, which, let's be honest, looks a lot like the Ghost Wing. So they used laser scanners, made a perfect digital copy, and even built a full-size replica to test against old-school radar. And the results? They were absolutely jaw-dropping. The tests proved, without a doubt, that the Horton Ho 229 had a radar signature 80% smaller than a normal fighter from that era. 80%! That is a massive difference. So what does an 80% smaller radar signature actually mean in a real-world fight? It means Britain's radar network, the very system that was crucial to winning the Battle of Britain, would have been useless against it. They wouldn't have seen the Ho-229 until it was literally just a few minutes away from its target. By the time it popped up on their screens, it would already be overhead, dropping its bombs. Which brings us to the biggest mystery in this whole story. If the US military had the world's first stealth bomber in their hands in 1945, why on earth did they lock it in a warehouse for half a century instead of immediately building their own version? Well, there are a few theories. The first one is maybe the most boring, but also pretty believable. It just got lost in the shuffle. Post-war bureaucracy. It was weird, probably hard to fly, and maybe it just fell through the cracks and was forgotten. Theory number 2 is that technology just moved too fast. By the 1950s, you've got supersonic jets, you've got way better radar. It's possible the military looked at this wooden plane, no matter how cool its shape was, and just figured it was obsolete, a relic that wouldn't survive in the new nuclear age. But then there's the really intriguing theory, the one that suggests it wasn't forgotten at all. The idea here is that the US military did study it, learned its secrets, and then deliberately hid the original plane. Why? To keep foreign spies from ever finding out that America knew how to build a stealthy flying wing. The truth is, we'll probably never know for sure. Today, if you go to the Smithsonian's Udvar Hazy Center, you can see it, the original ghost wing. And it's not restored to look all shiny and new. It's preserved exactly as it was found, this incredible time capsule of a future that almost happened. And really, that leaves you with one last kind of haunting thought. The Ho-229 is proof that history doesn't always move in a straight line. Sometimes the future gets invented, and then it gets lost again. It really makes you wonder, what other incredible secrets are still out there, just sitting in a box, waiting for someone to find them?